Hello there. Let's go over the answers to your topic 2 worksheet or review that I gave you. Question 1 wants to know or simply just define what a pesticide is. And so a pesticide is a general term that we use. It's usually a substance or a chemical that's used to control pests. Next, there are different types of pesticides, and so herbicides control weeds, insecticides of course control insects, and fungicides control fungus like mushrooms and so on. Next slide. Next you had to do questions on page 189, 191. And so let's go over them. First question over here, how does DDT enter the food web? DDT exists in water supplies and it enters through bioaccumulation in producers such as plankton or algae. So the producers are our direct link to the water supply, and usually it's sprayed and then from the water supply it gets to the plants. Next, which organism shown in the food web on page 189 contains the most DDT? If you look at this page, you'll notice that the organism in the food web with the most is the dolphin at 5,200 parts per billion. And so that shouldn't surprise you because the dolphin's at the top of that particular food chain. So number 3, which organism is on the highest trophic? Trophic is the feeding level. So trophic levels, so when we make a food pyramid, plants are at the bottom, and then the next trophic level are the herbivores, and then we get secondary consumers and so on. So these are trophic levels, and dolphins are at the highest. Plankton would be down here. There's plankton. What is the relationship between the trophic level of an organism and the concentration of DDT? So number 4, the higher an organism is on the food chain or trophic level, the more concentrated the DDT. Next, in the food web on page 189, how many times greater is the concentration of DDT in the fish than in the seawater? And then how many times greater is it in the dolphins? So it's 430,000 times greater in the fish than the seawater, and 52 million times greater in the dolphins. Again, because you're dealing with parts per billion here. So if you look, the seawater is 0.0001 out of a billion. And in the fish, it's 43 out of a billion. So how many more times greater to go from there to there? We have to times by, we have to times by 430,000. Okay, so to get from here to here, we times by 430,000. Number 6, in your own words, explain why animals at the top of the food chain are at risk from poisons in the environment. Well, the top of the food chain they're consuming prey that have higher concentrations of poisons. And so again, if we look at sort of our food pyramid, what happens is the following. As you go higher up, the concentration of the toxins according to bioaccumulation gets higher and higher. So those organisms higher up, like humans, they're eating organisms just below them, and it's going to have a way higher concentration